Is this the one and the only Johnny Hawkins?
It might be. Possibly.
Maybe, possibly. Could it be?
I don't like to reveal my identity, so yeah. It's me. How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing, Johnny?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, well, I guess you guys got to be pretty psyched because, especially you with the song Jenny. I mean, it's a huge hit for you guys.
Yeah, man. It's not only just on the, getting out there and getting more spins and people hearing it, but it's cool to see that, what the original reason why we wrote the song and why I got to vent a lot of, I guess, negative things and spin it into something positive, hopefully is kind of starting to do that for other people. So it's really cool to see what it can do when it's put out there, and it's really connecting a lot of people, and I think hopefully bringing awareness like we're trying to do with the hashtag I Know Jenny campaign. So yeah,
right.
we're stoked, man.
Yeah, and the one thing too with that song, which I mean, it's got to be a good for you. My daughter, every week when I'm doing the show, she'll be like, "Oh, who's your guest? Who's your guest?" And the other day, I'm like, "Oh, I got the singer from Nothing More." She's like, "Oh, the song Jenny, I love that song." So I was like, "Wow, she finally knows somebody I'm having on the show."
Oh, really? Awesome. That's cool. Well, tell your daughter we said hi.
I will. So, but the one thing too, which I didn't really put two and two together was, I mean, you guys released this album over a year ago, and you guys are still out on the road. You guys are still putting songs out off of there, and it's still got a lot of life left, the album. So, I mean, that's got to be a proud moment for all you guys as well.
Absolutely, man. We spent probably about 2.5 years on this record.
Oh, wow.
Because we did the whole thing ourselves, very DIY. We didn't have a label at the time. And so because we didn't have any kind of requirements or time constraints, we got to put out a record that had 17 songs on it. And we felt like we didn't want to cut any of them. We had weeded that down from like 60 song ideas that we had started with. So we had a lot of material to source through. And so it's cool after, having spent that much time and, blood, sweat, and tears trying to make sure it's exactly what we wanted it to be, that it actually has some life before we move on to the next one. But at the same time, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like it had a lot of life on it, but I'm so ready to work on the next record by now,
Have you guys started any early process of that yet, or no?
We've been kind of archiving a bunch of little nuggets, just storing away ideas, but we haven't really sat down in the rehearsal room or the studio and really hashed through all of it. We've just all individually been kind of gathering ingredients, I like to call it, because once we get together, that's when the real cooking begins. So that'll probably happen more towards November, December. We're going to start getting into some writing sessions together, start working on it.
Cool. Very cool. Now, going back to the song Jenny, too, being that the song is so personal, especially for you, has there been any moments where it really, in your head, you really get emotional about it?
Definitely. It's when you're kind of when you're touring and you're in a situation where you have to sing your songs, 5 days a week or whatever it is, there's no way you could be emotionally tanked by it every time or, impacted. So I don't really feel it in its entirety every night. Just because you still have to perform, and life goes on, and it changes throughout time how I feel about it. It's still a very living, breathing situation. It wasn't like a song that ended and I'm through with. It's still something that my family and I deal with my sister, month to month. So, but there's definitely moments that'll catch me off guard. I mean, while I'm on the road or while I'm performing, that I don't expect it, but it'll hit you like a little wave.
Sure.
Especially when that song is almost like the sister song to God Went North, which is another one on our record that was about my mom who had a really long battle with cancer. And sometimes those songs will pop up on my shuffle, and it'll just catch me in a weird moment, and I can't help but cry or
Sure.
just kind of tear up. And so it's but I appreciate that though, because it's like it still means it's real to me, and it's still that's part of the reason why we don't play that song God Went North live ever. And Jenny's something that's helping other people, but that one I want to keep special like that. I don't want to get desensitized to it by playing it every night,
Wow. Yeah.
But
That,
so it's
that shows you the power of music right there. It really does.
yeah, totally, man. It's probably the most powerful drug I've ever been a part of.
Now, did you guys plan all along to have Jenny released as a single, or were you surprised when it was released?
Were we surprised when it was a single? Is that what you said?
Yeah, or did you guys plan all along to have that as a future release?
Nothing has been for certain ever since we signed our deal, because there was a lot more people involved now, and everybody has differing opinions and strategies and whatnot. But we always kind of felt more than any of the other songs, like This Is the Time and Mr. MTV were both kind of like we never knew if those were going to be on the radio or not, or pushed as singles. Jenny was one that we were willing to fight to the bitter end to make happen, regardless of whether, business partners and the label and were wanting to or not. We just knew, like, on a gut level that it was just, there was something real in this one. And when we were playing shows on the ground floor, we could feel the momentum of it before it was on the radio. People were coming up to us and telling us their stories, and even people that didn't know our music that well, off all the songs on the record, that would be the one they were singing if we played it live. And so that was something, I think that was just like a very telling sign that we should definitely push it as a single. So fortunately we did.
That's cool. Now something that's else I think is really cool with you guys is you guys all started together in middle school.
Yeah. I met our guitar player Mark in 7th grade at a summer camp, actually. And it was right then that, like, I also met Daniel that year. And I was on the hunt for band members ever since I started playing drums when I was a 7-year-old when I started. And it just was kind of a mission of mine to find band members. But it was really hard as a kid to find other kids who are, like, really into it and serious and, like, thinking about doing it as an adult. Every other kid's just doing a million things. But I don't know. As time went on, I just really knew that I wanted to do that. And so when I found Mark and Dan, it was just perfect. Dan actually didn't join the band, the bass player, until a few years later. But I was playing with him in other projects and different things. He ended up going to Nashville to go to school in Belmont, and he ended up coming back around and seeing us at a show with another bass player at the time, and who was quitting, and he was like, I got to join this band. And so we ended up playing together. But yeah, we've been together a long time in some form or another.
I think a thing like that's awesome, because especially, like, that's like the dream. Like, when you're middle school, to grow up and be the rock star doing music professionally, and to stick with it all those years and make it happen for you guys. I mean, that's just it's a dream come true.
Totally, man. Yeah, it is. I think it's totally the persistence pays off principle, because we did it for years after that until leading up to this year, and many of those years and many of those records were fruitless in regards to growing as a band. They just didn't impact, and it's just like we had to start over, it felt like. So it's cool to finally see that turning point happen and be a part of it. But yeah, it's a huge sigh of relief. I'm sure for our families as well, who were all nervous that we were going to be the homeless musicians on the street, you know, with the hat on the side. So yeah, it's great, man.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because something in your bio that really stood out to me. And it says once you guys got to the age of college, people were telling you to stay in school and have a plan B. I think 98% of the people who had a plan B went nowhere except plan B. And I think that is so true. I really do, because I wouldn't say I was a plan B guy, but you know, I always was told the same thing growing up, like, because I was trying to do bands and stuff like that, and my mom or family would say, you know, you got to have something to fall back on. You always need something to fall back on, and you just become so reliant on that falling back on something.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's definitely a philosophy that's not a one-size-fits-all. You know, I think for some people, maybe the plan B is the smart way to go. But for us, we knew that we wanted to do music and that we would be unhappy in our lives if we did otherwise. So knowing that and knowing ourselves allowed us to make a very clear decision that a plan B would only be the weak spot in the flooring beneath us, that when times got tough, we would fall through it and inevitably go to the plan B. So we needed to throw plan B out the window so that when it did get tough, which it inevitably seemed like it would, especially when we came onto the scene, rock music was dying. It was like we knew we needed, we couldn't have any weak point. And Plan B, Plan B was actually part of the reason one of our guitar players, we actually had two guitar players when we started. I started a band with a guy who's still one of my best friends, who was best man at my wedding and everything. His name was Josh, and he was the other guitar player. And he ended up leaving the band basically because he had a plan B, you know, and when things got tough, he went towards doing a different career that was kind of set up for him through his dad's business. And I'm not saying that wasn't the right move for him, because he's very happy, and I'm happy for him, but it was kind of living proof to see it play itself out. And I'm glad we didn't have a plan B. So I think for some people that's the way to go.
Hey, I'm glad you guys didn't have a plan B either. So actually, you guys head out on tour starting this weekend with Shinedown.
Yeah, we're actually here at our first show at some arena in Florida right now. So we actually haven't played any shows yet. We just have walked in and had lunch, and it's looking like it's going to be a really, really fun tour, because it's just us and them. So we get a lot of time to do our thing and a lot of space, and it's an arena tour, so that's freaking cool.
Nice. Yeah, you guys are rolling into to my old stomping grounds where I grew up at the Tower Theater on the 23rd.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that is a cool building. A lot of history in that building.
Is it Upper Darby? Okay, Pennsylvania. Yep. I'm looking at our calendar. Yeah. That's cool. I don't know if we've ever played there, so that's.
I don't think he's had.
Forward to that.
Yeah, that's a legendary building.
Really? Okay.
That's David Bowie. He recorded an album there in the early '70s.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Guns N' Roses there back in like '88. I saw Metallica there in '84, open for Wasp.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool. You can say that. You're a part of that stage. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So you guys are going to be out with them for a month, it looks like?
Yeah, right around a month.
And then you guys are going to be doing, it looks like some headlining dates in between, I guess, too, some shows?
Yeah, we're going to be, I think, taking some time after this tour at home for like maybe 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then after that, we're going to be doing a headlining tour. And we're getting the bill all finalized right now. We're really pumped about that one. And then after that, we're going to go back to Europe one more time before the end of the year.
Cool. Now,
Yeah.
during that like 3 week span when you take off, is it kind of like, do you get like antsy to get back out there?
Yes. Like, well, no, yes and no. I mean, this year, not really, because we've had like very little time at home. So
Right.
It's like every time we get home, it never feels like it's long enough, and we're like just settling in, and then we got to leave again. So we've been home maybe a total of a month and a half this whole year, not this like calendar year, like, but over 2014 and 2015, it's been like
Right.
maybe 2 months. So,
Holy cow.
yeah. So we love being home right now. But you know, if we were touring a lot less, then yeah, we get antsy and excited to go back out, but not right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I can see your point.
It's all ebb and flow, and right now there's a lot of flow.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I guess that's pretty much it. The one thing, too, I just wanted to talk to you about. You're involved with a couple organizations, too. I guess we should like get them out there, make people aware, and.
Yeah, we're teaming up with quite a few organizations that deal with mental health in general, or depression, suicidal thoughts, suicide itself, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety, you name it, all the stuff that fall under that umbrella of mental health. We're teaming up. Like To Write Love on Our Arms is one of the big ones that we're partnered with. There's a bunch of other ones that you can see if you go to our website. If you go to nothingmore.net, you can see the big campaign. It's called the I Know Jenny campaign, and we've gotten a lot of people to share their stories using the hashtag I Know Jenny, because a lot of people can identify with the character, who's my sister in the story, or they can identify with really my side, where they've had someone like that in their family. And
right.
So a lot of these organizations doing a lot of cool stuff. They're really the terrain is changing so dramatically right now, like what we're understanding as human beings and how much it's changing over our lifetime is like more than it's probably ever changed in the past as far as how rapid it's happening. So they're on the front edge of that wave as far as understanding ourselves and our own issues. So it's really exciting.
Very cool. Now, how about your sister? Like, what does she think of the song and being, the inspiration for it?
It's a mixed bag. I showed her the song before we ever released it, just as a courtesy to make sure that she knew what I had written and what I was releasing. And there was, at the time, I felt awkwardness, but I didn't feel any reserve, because she had single-handedly put my mom and our family through a lot of pain, which now, as I'm older, I'm seeing it a little bit differently, where I do take a lot less off of her as an individual as far as responsibility, but it still went down the way it went down, and there was a lot of stuff that I was like, look, if you have the right or freedom to just, hurt a bunch of people without any kind of responsibility, then I have the right to at least vent about it. And for me, that's music. So I didn't feel any reserve about releasing it, especially since she's kind of like one of those people, or was, where their rock bottom is just seemingly non-existent. They're just like keep going to these just horrible places in life, but some people reach that point and they have a turnaround, or they kill themselves. My sister was one of those rare cases that was just a diehard, stubborn as anybody I've ever met, but would just keep, falling into the same stuff. And so over time, she's kind of embraced it, I think, because we're on better terms now. And I truly do love her. It's just been very tough. And I know she loves me too. It's just been hard to communicate with each other and get through to each other. And so putting it into a song, honestly, it's made our relationship a lot better, even though it's a really dark song and a really honest one.
Cool. Well, again, like I said, the power of music.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Johnny. Well, thank you so much. Everybody can go to nothingmore.net, and they could get all the information on all the organizations. They can get all the links up there for social media and all that stuff. And everybody needs to buy. Don't steal. Buy the album. Buy the single. Buy whatever you got to do. Yeah, and that's it. So there you go.
Thank you, man. Well,
thanks,
yeah,
man.
and hopefully we'll see some of y'all out at one of the shows. But thanks
cool.
For having
Yeah,
me,
I'll give you a heads up if I'm out there on the 23rd.
Cool. All right,
and real quick, can I just get you to cut an ID for me?
Yeah.
This is Johnny Hawkins of Nothing More, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
All right. Just let me know when you're ready.
Go for it.
Hey, this is Johnny Hawkins from the band Nothing More. You're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Awesome. Thanks, Johnny. Have fun on the road, man.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Take care.
I'll see you soon. Bye.
Yep. Bye.